Today I fucked up by trying to be happy. A bit of backstory: I have a roommate who owns a large quantity of collectibles. Additionally, I've been having some problems in my personal life relating to mental health. Today I got up and at 4 AM and decided that I'd start cooking my lunches in the mornings before work as a way to help with mental wellness. I got everything ready and put on a backpack to hold my food and went out in stride. Evidently that was a bad idea because it was dark and I wasn't watching where I was going, and I accidentally knocked over my roommate's alien queen figure and it broke. I had to get to work, so I picked up all the pieces, left them on the coffee table, and sent him a text explaining what happened. He's usually a calm guy, but he got understandably irate. I apologized, but he said that sorry won't fix or replace it. He sent me a link to the Amazon page for it and it was worth $350. Though I lost almost an entire week's worth of pay for not being careful. Too long didn't read, I wasn't being mindful of my surroundings and owed my roommate $350 as a result. Hope you didn't fuck things up by trying to be happy. If it was a display piece left where it could be knocked off, then they're as much if not more at fault than you. If you feel like you want to offer monetary compensation, then do it in installments that won't leave you hurting, and point out that it was in a place where anyone might have knocked it down. I'm not in a good place myself mentally, so I'm sorry your efforts to climb out of the mire of depression have gotten off to a rough start. I can also understand being frustrated at one's collectible being broken, but your roomie should have had it in a safer spot. Best of luck. You didn't fuck up by trying to be happy, and you're doing yourself a disservice by phrasing it that way. You tried to walk quickly in the dark and that's where you messed up. That's all. Nothing to do with trying to be happy. Thank you. Admit I tend to have a very cynical opinion of myself. If it's something expensive like that, why is it in a place that it can be knocked over so easily? I get wanting to display stuff, but this seems more like his food than yours. I thought the same thing. I'm still taking responsibility for knocking it over, but I question why it's placed on a shelf in a narrow hallway. If your roommate left a $350 figurine where it can so easily be destroyed by a simple bump, he's partly responsible. I would say pay half and the other half can be his lesson in putting something so expensive in a case or in a less vulnerable place. I wish I did that, but it was so early in the morning and I'm too big of a coward, lol. Today I fucked up by decapitating my son's favorite stuffed cat. Today I fucked up. In reality it was roughly this time last year. I was at home with our then 4-year-old twins. Our daughter is pretty laid back while our son is hell on 2 stubby legs. That day, I had had it with the screaming and not listening. Then, my son came up to me with a toy of mine I had had as a kid. He was in this break everything phase and he showed me my old toy was broke. I asked why he broke it and with this smug smirk said because I felt like breaking it. I lost my shit. With everything going on that day, I was done. I started screaming for him to get to his room and I followed him. He ran and got Kitty and I snatched it from him. I screamed, "You think it's funny to break things?" ? Then proceeded to take a pair of scissors and cut off the stuffed animal's head in front of him. He screamed, "My kitty!" ! As his tears started flowing. I walked with the decapitated cat to our back room, sat down, then started sobbing myself. I texted my husband, who said he wouldn't have even done that, and he's pretty tough on the kids when they do wrong. Then I sat crying as I sewed the cat's head back on. All is good now. Kitty is still his favorite sidekick, but even almost a year later I still feel like a shitty mom for doing that. Definitely not one of my shining mom moments. Too long didn't read, my son made me angry after breaking something, so I cut off his favorite toy's head and then sat and cried as I sewed the head back on. It's good that you fixed the cat and made it right. That is a lesson for him too. It's important that they see adults make mistakes, and what they do about it. Just try to think next time that they learn by example, so allow yourself to show that you're angry, with the idea of how you would want him to react if it was happening to him. We all make mistakes as parents. It really is a skill set that you have to consciously improve. Edit, just noticed you said it was a year ago. Hopefully he's more empathetic now. To anyone with experience, knowledge about raising kids, genuine question. How should you handle this situation and teach the child properly? And are there instances where it is not wrong to teach the child by reciprocating its own actions, as long as no physical harm is caused? Kids crave attention. Positive behavior should get positive attention. Negative behavior gets neutral attention. In this case, you explain to them that you don't break toys because then you can't play with them anymore and just move on to the next thing. Any emotional response is likely to trigger a repeat incident later on because they know it gets your attention. Find it works best to just say pretty flatly we don't do that and explain why, then move on. The bad behavior rarely gets repeated because it didn't trigger a memorable response from me. My parents would cut up my stuffed toys when I misbehaved. That was 26 years ago, but damn, I had to pour myself a stiff one having read your story and I know exactly how the kid felt. My son did the same with my old stuffed animal's leg. So to make it even I ripped my son's leg off. The blissful sound of no more running in the house. I've got a 5-year-old with similar temperament. The temptation to destroy something of his as retribution is real. God, you love them to death, but then there's times where they push your buttons so much you just snap. I love my 2 kiddos more than anything, but they can assholes lol. Today I fucked up by digging for gold on Facetime. This happened last week, can't get it off my mind. My boyfriend, I'm not really sure what we are, and I were talking on Facetime one night. I think we were chatting about Christmas and the presents we were going to get for each other. He asks me to look up a pair of Uggs. So I leave the Facetime app, get and onto Safari. Disclaimer for those who don't have iPhone or use Facetime. The old Facetime would say paused once you leave the Facetime app and you would not be able to see them, and vice versa. So Facetime changed the game. The new update made it available to leave the Facetime app and still be able to watch the other person on camera. They can still see you as well, but you cannot see yourself as you usually would be able to when viewing them in full screen. I knew about this update. I knew he could see me while I was browsing Safari, but I was deep in the rabbit hole. I forgot he was on the other side of the phone, ignoring his head on the screen. I was in another world. This is where I FU. I felt the biggest booger inside of my nose. I was alone, or so I thought, so naturally I decide to find it. I'm first knuckle deep in my nose digging for this thing for a good 15 seconds, when I heard a voice say, "You know you're on camera, right?" Mortified. In the matter of a second my face was beet red. Couldn't look him in the eyes for 2 days. Too long, didn't read, forgot I was being watched. Picked an gnarly booger in front of boyfriend. Yikes. I'm waiting for this to happen to me on a call for school. Happened to me yesterday. I just dipped out of the call. Digging for gold, white tick mark, right up there with the first fart during sex. Get it over with. That's what I'm talking about. Where it gets weird is when you start wanting to eat that fart. Maybe he'll get you a handkerchief for Christmas instead of those boots. There are 2 types of people in the world. People who pick their nose and people who lie about it. And then those who eat them. Person shrugging, everyone does it. You're only human. You think he doesn't pick something? People pick their noses, ears, belly buttons, teeth, toenails, butt cracks. You just happen to have an audience once. We're human and we do gross shit. If he can't get over that, then he's not worth your time.